every once in a while at 3:55, something happens that just makes you throw out everything that you had planned for the day, and the show's going to be a lot different than you expected it to be. And today at 3:55, Adam Schefter announced that Cal McNair has informed Bill O'Brien he is no longer the head coach, and I assume, or the general manager.
Yeah, he's fired from both.
Yeah, so he's gone. So
Romeo Crennel will be your interim head coach, which he's done that before. Probably the only guy on staff. That's part of the problem why O'Brien was such a failure. He's probably the only guy on staff who's qualified to be an interim coach.
I mean, he really is. They're in an odd situation now because they don't have a guy that you feel good handing over the reins for the rest of the season. And normally, if you're 0-4, you say, who cares? Just hand it to whoever and let's wreck this thing and get a good draft pick. But why you want to help out the Dolphins? So I don't know if this is, when we say interim coach, are there teams that are going to be willing to let assistants leave in the middle of the season?
No.
For a head coaching job?
No, you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to use the people you have here, which one of the many things O'Brien did wrong was not, and I've bitched about this forever, not hire quality assistants so that you have guys.
Well, to be fair, Vrabel, he was here and he got a job.
Yeah, he's done okay. That's the one guy, though.
Yeah.
I mean, go look at all the guys that have done really well that have left Kansas City. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl. Matt Nagy's done okay with the Bears. Eric Bieniemy's going to be a great coach for somebody. I mean, all those guys, that's the thing. Good coaches have good assistants. How many guys has he had go anywhere? Remember George Godsey? Yeah. He let him go. He wound up coaching defense.
It's true.
So, yeah.
I need to hire him.
So, yeah, there's no way you're going to get – I mean, you might find – there might be some out-of-work coaches that you could bring in. If you're Romeo, you need somebody to run that offense. It can't be Tim Kelly.
No.
And we've seen what his act is.
Well, we saw Bill O'Brien calling the plays last week, even though he wants to admit, he doesn't want to admit. I guess maybe now he can stop lying and stop acting like everything's a big secret.
Yeah, no kidding. And I mean, it was obvious he was calling plays yesterday. It was obvious he was calling bad plays. I mean, it's the same thing we've seen out of him forever. And I commend Cal McNair for saying, you know what, this isn't working. I wish he'd done it before he traded DeAndre Hopkins. But you know what? I'm going to be honest here. I think Cal got conned a little bit by O'Brien.
I think he did.
And by Jack Easterby. And I think that, I think when you get conned, it's hard to admit, oh, man, I got conned. And he did, so good for him, good for Cal. I think at least Texans fan has something. Yeah, it's so funny, man. I got up this morning, and just felt fantastic. Best I've felt in forever. I think my medications finally kicked in to where I feel like myself again. And I just felt like something really good is going to happen today. I just felt it.
Your erection didn't last more than 6 hours, did it?
No. About 30 seconds, man.
Whoa.
About 30 seconds.
I thought 4 hours was bad. 6 would have been real bad.
You would have had to see a doctor.
But I just felt like something good was going to happen. And I got to say, this is a good thing for Texans fan. It's not for this year. I mean, this makes
or next year, honestly.
Well, I think next year, if you bring in a really quality GM, then you can fix some of these problems. I mean, you're not going to be in cap hell because you can get rid of some of these mistakes like Brandon Cooks. Thanks for the 0 fantasy points yesterday, by the way.
Well, that's the second rounder that came with
yeah, but
David Johnson.
David Johnson, all those guys you can get rid of.
J.J. Watt.
If you want to get rid of J.J. Watt, you can.
It's almost time, honestly.
Well, I mean, you may want to look at moving him at the deadline this year. Somebody would probably give you something for him and rebuild your draft picks. That's probably the one thing you have of value that you could get rid of. But I think that this is where you say, okay, this didn't work. We're hitting the reset button completely and go from there. And I think it takes balls to fire somebody 4 games in.
It really does.
It does. So I'm going to take back some things I've said about Cal McNair. Good for him for saying, you know what, enough of this crap.
And I'll be the first to admit I was totally wrong because I thought 0 chance they would fire him this season. 0 chance. And I mean, they won a playoff game for the second time in forever?
Yeah.
Last year. And 5 games later, it's almost like when the Rockets fired Kevin McHale.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they'll look what they just did. They're going to give him some time. And then they're like, nah, let's do it now. And I do think it's the best thing to do is sometimes when you know he's not the right guy, you've got to pull the Band-Aid off. And here's the thing. Here's where when Bill O'Brien talks about being so close, when you're in the NFL, if you've got your quarterback, you should be a piece or two away. If you think you're a piece or two away, and one of those pieces isn't your quarterback, you should never start 0-4. You should never start. Quarterbacks that are if they are your franchise guy in year 4, they should never be starting 0-4. And a lot of that's on Deshaun, which we'll get to later in the show.
Yeah, because we got plenty of time to do that.
But Bill O'Brien, you can't fool anyone any longer and say you're close, because that's not close.
No, and I think yesterday it's kind of one of the things that I wrote was it was basically Bill O'Brien's 2020 Texans in a nutshell. You basically get behind. You can't stop the run. They've done nothing. They've made no adjustments to run the football better, to stop the run. And you knew Dalvin Cook was going to have a big game. We talked about it. But then you're in the fourth quarter, you're down 15, and you're still running the ball? Are you just trying to get your running average up? It's kind of what it felt like. It did. It felt like stat padding, because you look at the running numbers and they're not that bad. But we all know that when the game was actually competitive in the first half, it wasn't competitive, but when they were supposed to be competing, they couldn't run the ball. So, I don't know what that was about. And I think the players, it's obvious the players, I don't want to say they've quit on him, but that looked like a bunch of guys who were just satisfied to get out there and get their big paychecks. And, I'm not going to put all of it on him, but a lot of your high-paid guys, they look like guys who got their money and they're happy. And that kind of includes your quarterback.
Well, and what he said yesterday, we're going to have to get to that too, which is it pissed me off. Now, the last couple tweets from Ian Rappaport, and it almost sounds like, I don't know, were we fooled all along that thinking Bill O'Brien was the guy that had all the power in the organization? Is it possible that Jack Easterby is the one? Because it says here that Jack Easterby fired Bill O'Brien because they had not seen eye to eye recently. Well, was Jack Easterby all along the guy here? Is that possible?
I guess it's possible.
Boy, who saw that's like a
that's
like a crazy movie ending, like where they have the mask off and it's Scooby Doo.
Maybe Cal McNair did what the Joker did in The Dark Knight, where he snaps the pool cue between the 3 gangsters. He says, "I can only hire 2 of you," and lets them decide.
It was 2, but I could only hire 1.
Yeah,
that's okay.
So maybe Cal McNair walked in there and said, "Look, there's 2 of you. Only one of you is going to survive. Figure it out."
I don't know, but now Ian Rappaport tweeted something that's awful, and I hope he's wrong. Although I would like Nick Caserio to come here. It says that, and Jack Easterby's he's here forever, it seems. Like his contract's for like 5 or 6 more years. Ian Rappaport says he's obviously close with Patriots de facto GM Nick Caserio and Patriots OC Josh McDaniels. Both clearly names to watch in Houston. Here's what I'll say, and as much as I like Nick Caserio, go anywhere but the Patriots organization.
Exactly.
You have to stop trying to be the Patriots, and it has to stop now. It's gone on long enough. You need to make a clean break from that. And if you hire Nick Caserio, and really Jack Easterby's already kind of got some of that in him, like that culture, but do not hire anyone who's been involved with the Patriots organization.
I do not want Josh McDaniels under any circumstances. And let somebody else make that mistake. We've seen it over and over with these Patriots assistants. And you know what? I think the Dolphins may have a good one in Brian Flores, but we don't know yet. Otherwise, Matt Patricia, how's that worked out?
He's not good so far. He's like, I started here in a mess. Actually, Caldwell was actually doing a lot better than you are.
He was.